We're here on the parallel sessions of our conference. Next to me are standing Dr. James McNally from the University of Michigan, United States, and Kathryn Lavender. And you gave today one of the few workshops which could be considered capacity building sessions for students, but I think you also had some actual faculty members attending the session, it looked like. Yeah. How important do you think it is to include those capacity sessions in an international conference and not only having presentations, but also educating the younger generations?
Well, we've been doing the data workshop for about 5 years now. And I think it's very important to let people know what resources are available. Originally, we were joined by a colleague at Tokyo University who would discuss the data repository they maintain for Asian and Japanese resources. We include a reference to that repository. But generally, just letting people know what's out there, what's available. We've also done workshops on grant writing, which were quite successful at ACE. So.
Yes, thank you. I think it's very important. I think that a lot of times there's not instructions on how to properly share data and data-related resources, and transparency is important. And so it's not just about sharing the materials, it's about the best ways to share the materials so that we can minimize questions once someone gets to downloading data or reading a publication and trying to understand it.
You received a question during the session about the second generation of data programs, and do you see the research methods being developing into a different way as scientific research is progressing? Do methods progress as well, and do data sets progress as well?
Well, methods definitely progress across time. I mean, years ago, when I was doing research after my dissertation, we couldn't do multivariate logistic regression, for example. The computers just weren't powerful enough, so there weren't really programs. And now most of the standard statistical packages do that and more because computer power increased, and it allowed us to explore new models. From our perspective, the data software we support is really driven by demand. There's always some esoteric data analysis packages out there that do specialized products, but if we don't have enough people who need that for their research, it's unlikely we'll include it in our packages. But we do grow. As I mentioned at the workshop, we've added R to our selection of packages because it's very popular now. So as things increase in use, we add them to our selection of tools.
You're managing a data depository, and it's. I was asking you about it before. It's quite interdisciplinary. It sounds like. Does this interdisciplinarity favor a specific type of methodology, or do you see disciplines engaging with each other affecting how research is being done in one discipline?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I do think that the interdisciplinary nature affects how research is being done because people are collaborating and coming up with innovative ways to share information. I spoke with a researcher during one of our podcast and researcher interviews in the last, I would say, year or two, and her name is Jessica Finlay, and she was using data, secondary data from the REGARD study and other studies, and the way that she was collecting it, how it ended up being reflected is in maps of neighborhoods and how much cognability they have. And that's a term that she sort of created. And it relates to what kind of resources are available to individuals, mostly aging individuals is what she focused on, but it would be everyone in that community, their access to what's the closest grocery store, what's the closest art museum, what's the closest library. And, not only that, but then kind of using the social information in those surveys to say, well, did the respondent feel comfortable going to that library or that art museum or that grocery store? And so I thought that it was an interesting way that she came together with her collaborators to convey the information, and it's an interactive map that you can access through a website. I don't know it offhand off the top of my head, but I think that that's an example of the interdisciplinary nature of the research projects that we host, and some that we don't host, but we fully support, and how it can be, then made in a different digestible format to the researcher community.
And then the final question that is related to that, how important is interdisciplinary research nowadays?
It's critical. It's where the science is going. Biomedical researchers are increasingly working with social scientists. We're learning how to speak each other's languages, and we're incorporating these models into our research. I was at an Alzheimer's meeting at Duke University in the States last year, and the doctors were very excited about incorporating social determinants of health into their models, which takes them beyond sort of the standard biomedical causality, A leads to B, and starting to think about the heterogeneity within health outcomes. So that was good. And we learned so much about the process of disease and health maintenance by working with biomedical people. And this is true with psychologists, philosophers. And it's one of the wonders of IAFOR is at every meeting you will get the opportunity to talk with people across this wide realm of disciplines and take into account their perspective. And it's always refreshing because we so often go to meetings that are just gerontologically focused or population focused or political science, etc. This organization invites everyone to the table and gives them an equal voice. And I think that helps push forward the idea that multidisciplinary and multicultural research is the way science should be going.
Any final thoughts on that?
Usually there's not just one answer or solution to a problem. If you look at the problems that the world is trying to solve and access to goods, equal access to goods or equitable access to goods and resources, if someone is struggling, with aging and caregiving or aging and, their mobility, it's usually not just the case that you can assign a caregiver to them and have it, meet all their needs or give them a wheelchair and have that solve all of their problems. So I think interdisciplinary approaches are what can help think of the multiple solutions that are needed to solve these problems.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. We enjoyed your presentation.
Having us, and thank you for being IAFOR.